Most Unity churches have an Easter ritual called the flower cross ritual, and everyone gets a flower, an artificial flower, maybe a live flower, and pins it to either a styrofoam cross or a big circle, symbolizing a life, the flowering of life. And having been in Unity all my life, I wanted something different. So I opened my mind to superconsciousness and got the idea of a rainbow. So two people are going to hold each end of the rainbow. So Kathy, you come up and you get the opportunity to walk under the rainbow. So hold the two ends high enough for people to walk under. Hi. Hi. And the symbolism is you are the light of the world.
I danced in the morning when the world was begun, and I danced in the moon and the stars and the sun, and I came down from heaven and I danced on the earth. At Bethlehem I had my birth. Dance then wherever you may be, I am the Lord of the dance, said he. I'll lead you all wherever you may be. I will lead you all in the dance, said he. I danced for the scribe and the Pharisee, but they wouldn't dance and they wouldn't follow me. I danced for the fishermen, for James and John. They came with me and the dance went on. Dance then wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. I'll lead you all wherever you may be. I will lead you all in the dance, said he. I danced on the Sabbath and I cured the lame. The holy people, they said it was a shame. They whipped and they stripped and they hung me high, and they left me there on the cross to die. I danced on a Friday when the sky turned black. It's hard to dance with the devil on your back. They buried my body and they thought I'd gone. But I am the dance and I still go on. Dance then wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. I'll lead you all wherever you may be. I will lead you all in the dance, said he. They cut me down and I leaped up high. I am the life and I'll never, never die. I'll live in you if you live in me. I am the dance. I am the Lord. I am the Lord of the dance, you see. Dance then I danced on a Friday when the sky turned black. It's hard to dance with the devil on your back. They buried my body and they thought I'd gone. But I am the dance and I still go on. Dance then, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. I lead you all, wherever you may be. I will lead you all in the dance, said he. They cut me down and I leaped up high. I am the life and I'll never, never die. I live in you if you live in me. I am the dance. I am the Lord. I am the Lord of the dance you see. Dance then, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance you see. I'll lead you all, wherever you may be. I will lead you all in the dance, said he.
What a great metaphor. Because I'm talking about, have you ever thought about how children love to play all the time? And how that seems to be a problem sometimes. Have you ever felt that way? We all started like that. What happened? Maybe the problem is that we as adults don't like to play all the time. Maybe we need to recapture that. The truth of eternal life is somewhat problematical in the same way. You could say that the problem with life is that it is eternal. It just won't go away. You have to keep growing. You have to keep expanding until you attain that consciousness of eternal life. And death is no longer a reality in your being. And that's the consciousness that Jesus Christ approached the cross in. I was talking with a friend of mine this year who spent time in an ashram with a guru Mai, who's a Siddha yoga leader. Anyone know of her? Well, I was saying to my friend, I just don't think Jesus could have said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" in despair on the cross. Because he was not of that mindset. He was not there. If he had been there, he couldn't have done the resurrection miracle. If he had allowed negativity to enter his awareness. What I think, I said, is that he was saying the 22nd Psalm, which begins, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" and ends with, "They shall come and shall declare his righteousness unto a people that shall be born, that he hath done this." I think he was saying the Psalms to keep his mind stayed on God, because all good Hebrew men knew all the Psalms. That was their hymnal. And what a beautiful testament it would be actually dying on the cross and singing the Psalms of your people. The Psalms of salvation of Jehovah. And my friend that I was talking to said, Guru Maya said the same thing. The same thing about 22nd Psalm. Many people have said the same thing, now I discover. There's one other irony in that 22nd Psalm. It says, "They part my garments among them and cast lots upon my vesture." And that's exactly what happened at the base of the cross. For the kingdom is the Lord's, and he is the governor among the nations. So, the consciousness of eternal life was what Jesus demonstrated as he went through the crucifixion and resurrection. And this series of talks that we've been doing in Lent are based on Charles Fillmore's wonderful book, The Keep a True Lent. And in the final chapter, which is called All the Way, he writes, "We have not understood the depth of our bondage to error and evil, nor the enormity of the consequences if it is allowed to continue. But Jesus knew to release the light of divine understanding in consciousness and quicken this inner light by being himself the great light in the face of ignorance, superstition, and persecution. He boldly proclaimed, 'I am the light of the world. Ye are the light of the world.'" It is a glorious miracle when any soul liberates itself to the freedom of rising up out of limitation, rising up from mortal mind into the consciousness of divine mind. And here's the remarkable thing about transformation in consciousness. It brings into your everyday life the experience of love in every avenue. In your health, in your wealth, in relationships, every need being met in divine order. And once again, I want to quote Mr. Fillmore, Talks on Truth, the chapter on development of divine love. We find this proclamation. He says, "The earth shall yet be made paradise by the power of love. That condition will begin to set in for each one, just as soon as he develops the love nature in himself." So he's saying, we don't have to wait till the whole world gets it. It becomes your world as soon as you get it. I am telling you this. You can live in that world. You don't have to wait for the rest of us to catch up, the rest of the world to catch up. You can live in that world right now. And it's happening more and more all around. It comes in little periods, you might have like 3 weeks of really wonderful divine order, blah, blah. I used to compare it to riding a bicycle. You fall off the bicycle. How did I end up in the ditch so fast? 2 hours ago, I was doing great. But eventually, with practice, that's why it's called practical Christianity, you're able to sustain and maintain that state of being love, being the light, demonstrating the absolute goodness of God, no matter what happens. Several years ago, I realized that one of the special traditions of Easter for many people is the remembrance of Marian Anderson's concert on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on Easter Sunday in 1939. That was April 9th. How many of you are aware of this occurrence? Well, I'd like to dedicate this sermon to the attainments of the people who rose up from slavery, from being stolen from their homeland and from their tribes, to achieve greatness and nobility here in America. Although my father never told me this, I'm quite sure he was at that concert of Marian Anderson, because he would have been 25 at the time and he lived there in Washington, D.C. And every time I would ask him, "Hey, Dad, do you like this singer?" It was a female singer. "Do you like that woman's voice?" He would say, "Well, she's pretty good, but not as good as Marian Anderson." And I never knew exactly why he was saying that until I grew up and realized what had happened, what she had done. And the story goes like this, She was supposed to do a concert at the Constitution Hall, a big venue in Washington, D.C., and the owners of the Constitution Hall, it's called the DAR, which is Daughters of the American Revolution Constitution Hall, were a very conservative group. And when they found out that the concert was being performed by a black person, they canceled the engagement. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt was president at the time. His wife Eleanor was very sensitive to social justice and equal rights, and she got a hold of this matter, and she arranged with the National Park Service for Eleanor Roosevelt to give a free concert at 4 p.m. on Easter Sunday on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and it was broadcast all over the country on the radio. And you can see it on YouTube today. It's on YouTube. And what is it that she's singing? My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. She was a glorious singer, probably the most famous singer of her day. She toured all over Europe. And it's so easy to find out about people, so interesting. Her life story in Wikipedia shows that she was denied entrance to music schools because of her race. But her church, her minister, she was from Philadelphia, they collected money and paid for her to go and have voice lessons where she could be accepted. And she just didn't let anything stop her. There's another famous African-American woman that I want to talk about today, and I named my sermon after her wonderful writing of her poem, I Rise. You know who this is? Yes, Maya Angelou. The name of the poem is actually Still I Rise. But Maya Angelou, if you read the article about her in Wikipedia, she actually mentions unity. It mentions unity. It says that she took unity classes. And I'll tell you, when I was in ministerial school, I remember looking down the hall into the administrative offices, and she was there one day. This would have been about 2005. I went in afterwards. I said, was that Maya Angelou? They go, yes, she wants to be ordained a unity minister. She was a good friend of Eric Butterworth. She gave subscriptions to Daily Word to everybody her whole life. You can see unity thought in her art. She was a tremendous artist. Not only did she write poems, she wrote 7 autobiographies. She changed the genre of autobiography. Her first one is, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. But she had a lot to tell. At one point, she was mute as a child. For 3 years, she could not speak at all. And this was because something that she said had caused a man to be murdered. And so she was afraid if she said anything more, she would cause someone else's death. And so she couldn't speak for 3 years. Finally, she overcame that. She got interested in dance. She performed in cabarets and nightclubs. She recorded her own record album of original songs. She traveled the world as a journalist and reported on issues of social justice in Africa and Ghana. She was a correspondent. She became a college professor of literature. She was a tremendous artist in so many ways. She wrote plays. She wrote stories, she wrote movie scripts, she acted. What did she not do? Everything but paint, I guess. And she was awarded a doctorate from Unity Institute, but she passed away before it could be given to her. It was given to her actually at her memorial service. Now I want to read you the last verse of her poem. And I think you can hear some of the experiences I've described in her poem and appreciate what a triumph it is and what a role model she is for all of us, that no matter what difficulties befall us, we can overcome them and rise above. So from her poem, Still I Rise, the last verse. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Thank you. Our statement for meditation is, I am the eternal life of God. Do you believe it? That's why we meditate, to implant that seed into the subconscious mind so that it may take root. So let us take some deep breaths and turn our attention within to that light that shines always at the core of our being, the eternal Spirit of God in us. Nothing can ever change or damage or modify or limit that Spirit. And as we attune ourselves to that reality, we feel the peace and the harmony that sets in. And so let us say together this affirmation of truth. Together, I am the eternal life of God. And say it silently in your heart. For no matter what the appearance may be, the truth is changeless. The truth is principle. And on this glorious Easter morning, we realize at the deepest level the joy and the triumph of overcoming that last limiting idea that death has no power over us, for we are free, unlimited, as we abide now in meditation, in the silence. For there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in us, God the good, omnipotent, and so it is. Amen.